In July 2011, Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, sat down at his computer and hit send on an announcement that would effectively delete half of his company's value in 90 days. He didn't do it by mistake. He wasn't hacked. He did it on purpose. To the outside world, it looked like the most expensive suicide note in corporate history. At that moment, Netflix was the undisputed king of the world. They had just finished burying Blockbuster in a shallow grave. They had 24 million loyal subscribers who loved their red envelopes. Their stock price was at an all-time high. And yet, Reed Hastings was about to walk into the cockpit of his own plane and pull the engines mid-flight. He announced that Netflix was splitting in two. If you wanted DVDs, you had to go to a new, weirdly named website called Qwikster. If you wanted streaming, you stayed at Netflix. But here was the catch. The price was jumping by 60%. The internet didn't just get mad, it went nuclear. Netflix lost 800,000 subscribers in a single quarter. Their stock plummeted nearly 80%. Satirists on Saturday Night Live mocked them. Reed Hastings became the most hated man in tech. But while the world was laughing at the Qwikster disaster, Hastings was playing a game of 4D chess that his competitors and his customers weren't ready for. To understand why a genius would intentionally blow up a billion-dollar business, you have to understand the law of the sunk cost trap. Most companies die because they are too good at what they do. Blockbuster died because they were too good at running stores. They had thousands of leases, millions of plastic cases, and a revenue model built on late fees. They couldn't move to the future because their current success was a ball and chain. Hastings realized that the red envelope, the very thing that made Netflix famous, was actually a ticking time bomb. Every time Netflix mailed a DVD, it cost them money for postage, for labor, and for broken discs. It was a business of atoms. It was slow, it was physical, and it had a ceiling. Streaming, however, was a business of bits. Once the infrastructure was built, it cost Netflix almost nothing to serve the millionth customer compared to the first. But there was a problem. In 2011, the DVD side of the business was the cash cow that paid all the bills. The streaming side was a toddler that couldn't walk yet. Inside the halls of Netflix, a civil war was brewing. The DVD team, the heroes who had beaten Blockbuster, wanted more budget. They were the ones making the money. But Hastings saw that if he kept the two teams together, the DVD team would always win. They would optimize the red envelope until the company was obsolete. This is what we call cannibalization. Hastings knew that if he didn't kill his DVD business, someone else would. He chose to be the one to do it. The Qwikster split was a tactical divorce. By forcing the DVD business into its own corner, he was stripping the safety net away from the streaming team. He was telling his engineers, the ship is sinking. If you don't make streaming work, we all go under. It was a burn-the-boats strategy, but the execution was a nightmare. Qwikster wasn't just a name change, it was a user experience disaster. Suddenly, customers had two separate bills, two separate queues, and two separate websites. It was the opposite of convenience. Hastings eventually apologized for the way he did it, and he killed the Qwikster name. But he never, ever backed down on the price hike or the split. Why? Because he needed the cash to buy the most expensive weapon in the history of entertainment, original content. At the time, Netflix was just a middleman. They were renting movies from Disney, Sony, and Warner Bros. But Hastings knew those giants would eventually wake up and stop selling him their bullets. If Netflix was going to survive, they couldn't just be a delivery truck. They had to be the studio. That 60% price hike that everyone hated, that was the war chest for House of Cards. It was the money needed to transition from a tech company to a media empire. Today, we look back at 2011 as a blunder. But look at the scoreboard. Blockbuster is a gift shop in Oregon. The cable companies are bleeding out, and Netflix, they have over 260 million subscribers. The DVD business that Hastings killed, it finally officially ended in 2023. It lasted 25 years. But if Hastings had waited until 2023 to focus on streaming, Netflix would be a trivia question on a history app owned by Amazon. The lesson for every founder and leader watching this is simple but terrifying. Your greatest success is your greatest threat. The thing that got you here is almost certainly the thing that will prevent you from getting there. Most people wait for the market to force them to change. The Titans, they disrupt themselves while they're still winning. They are willing to be hated in the short term, to be indispensable in the long term. Reed Hastings didn't survive because he was lucky. He survived because he was willing to be the villain in his own story to ensure there was a sequel.